through diploma in electrical and electronics engineering, higher diploma in electrical and electronics engineering, Kenya Polytechnic, which is now Technical University of Kenya. Then from there, henceforth, I was trained in other military trainings. I served on board the ships as technical officers. They had personnel and technical equipment under me, because ships cannot move without technical equipment, whether it's engines, electrical gadgets, electronic gadgets. The electronic gadgets is communication gadgets, the control systems of weapon systems, etc. I advanced in my rank. When I graduated at the Armed Forces Second College, I graduated as second lieutenant. Then I went to do the midshipman course in the UK. Then when I came back, I was a second lieutenant. After 2 years, I became a lieutenant. That is automatic, that you have to serve for 18 months before you are elevated to a full lieutenant. The second lieutenant is just like a temporary rank. I served on board the ships after coming from Kenya Polytechnic, and have been serving on different levels and capacities. When I mean level, it's just the ranks, and capacities is the rank and the amount of workload you have. I served as an officer commanding a naval armament depot, served as the radar stations where at the coast of Kenya, from the north to south of the coast of Kenya. I was the officer commanding over there. I had people and equipment under me. Then from there, henceforth, I went for training at these other training called Grade 3 Staff Course. I trained as a commanding officer and also as a staff officer. Staff officers normally do a lot of analysis. They do a lot of writing briefs for the bosses and all that. So I'd served, I went to Arusha as a major to do my command and staff college for 1 year again. I came back. I became a staff officer. Then I was elevated to Staff Officer 1, which was a lieutenant colonel in logistics support. From there, henceforth, I was taken to Defense Staff College in Karen, where I was taken over there as a trainer or an instructor, or what we call over there, directing staff. A directing staff is just a facilitator. We have middle and senior officers, mid-level and senior officers of Kenyan Defense Forces, plus other officers, senior officers from allied countries who come over there. We train them on operation matters, on logistics matters, on training, because tomorrow they'll become the trainers. So we have to train them to be trainers also. From there, I served there for nearly, I've been serving there at Defense Staff College for more than 8 years, on and off. But from there, I went to South Africa again as a directing staff. It's called exchange directing staff. South Africans send their directing staff over here, and we send also directing staff to South Africa, which is called an exchange program. I served in South Africa for 2 years. I came back to the Navy, and I served again in operations as a Staff Officer 1 operation in the the naval or maritime domain. Staff Officer 1 in maritime operation, you're looking at security, the national security, the security of the sea, of aggression from outside. You're looking at how you're going to secure your territory plus economic exclusive zones, that is 200 nautical miles, with little resources you have. So there's a lot of analysis which is there and risks involved. Operations also, we look at internal operations also, not only from the outside aggression, but also you're looking at internal aggression, because the military also, in its second role, you're looking at internal security. And its primary role is external security. So in the national security, as you can see, it has two characters. It has an external character and an internal character. Then from there, I became I went to another logistics office where I served. Later on, I was sent back to Defense Staff College to be a trainer again. So I've done a lot of training here and there. From that place, because I had a background of engineering, I was also sent back again. I was sent to Defense Kenya Armed Forces Technical College in Embakasi as a senior instructor and later on as a chief instructor. We train people over there in certificate and diploma level in avionics, marine engineering, etc. From there then, I was posted to go and I served over there for over 2 years. Then I went to serve at the Eastern Africa Standby Force. It's a mechanism which does not follow under any regional economic bloc. When you look at other areas, like ECOWAS, that mechanism falls under ECOWAS. You look at the northern part of Africa, you find they fall under that regional economic bloc, even in SADC. This mechanism is the only one in Africa which does not fall under any regional mechanism or economic bloc. Let's say, for example, it doesn't fall under IGAD, it doesn't fall under East African Community, it doesn't fall under Great Lakes region, etc. So it's alone. It's members who contribute over there and contribute also staff. You have the military part of it, then you have a civilian part, then you have the police part. It's a multi-dimensional organization with civilian plus uniform personnel. From there, I also went to National Defense College, which the other day was given a charter which is called now National Defense University. I did the same thing. And there you do the national security and strategy and security course. At the same time, you do also, those ones who qualify, they do the Masters of Arts in International Studies. This one was conducted by University of Nairobi. After finishing there, I went back to Defense Headquarters on training again. I was in charge of training at Defense Headquarters. From there, the last posting I had, I served under ceasefire, transitional security arrangement, monitoring, and verification mechanism. This is a mechanism which has been created by IGAD. It is a mechanism which works in South Sudan. After the 2017 conflicts between the government forces and the rebel forces, they sat together and they came up with mechanisms of how they are going to transit from conflict to a peaceful elected government. So this mechanism is one of the mechanisms which monitor whatever they had agreed. I serve over there as the chief of logistics, but also as a principal staff officer of the director of CITISAM, whereby with my background of operations administration, I also helped in operations. You know, it's a multinational mechanism where you get people from IGAD, get people from Djibouti, South Sudan, etc. The language spoken over there is English. Though South Sudan has a population which speak Arabic, but there is also a population which speak English. So even the staff who are there sometimes is difficult. So that's the reason why I could also be chip in to look at the operation matters and logistics matters at the same time, plus administration. In my, as you have seen, in my education background, I did several courses, many certificate courses concerning peace support operations. Then I did also diploma in strategic studies, the diploma in electrical and electronic engineering, and higher diploma, Bachelor of Arts in Peace and Conflict Studies from Nazarene University. Then I did the governance, peace and security. Then I continued doing a distance learning course with the University of Portsmouth, an MSc, and the last one I did was an MA International Studies. So with this vast experience I have on training, operation, administration, and because I was also on my terminal leave, I thought, well, can I also apply for this and see whether I can transfer also some of the knowledge I have instead of keeping it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Said. Are you a registered voter?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you vote in the last election?
I voted at Mvita constituency, Sakina polling station.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll now request Mr. Morris Kimuli to ask you a few questions.
Madam, I hope it's okay if I call you ma'am.
It is okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
I know it's your training.
Yeah, I hope you don't call me dad. That's on a light note, because we looked at your case study, and one of the exciting things you said is that on the question of voter education, IEBC ought to conduct voter education, and that ought to include education on the right of every person to vote. Now, because you have a background in the military and in our security forces, could you just confirm how the security forces are facilitated to exercise their right to vote during our general elections?
During the general election, you know that it's in Kenya, it's a little bit tense period of time. Those ones, the defense forces normally request people to register in areas near the place of work, not Ushago. It's where you work. If I work in Mtongwe, then I should register somewhere, whether Mtongwe or in Mombasa County. It's just a request. It's not a must. Mm-hmm. Now, during that day of election, because you don't have ID cards, when you're going to register, ID cards from the headquarters, the defense headquarters, if you request, they're sent to you, then you go and register. During that day, if the amount of work, depending on the amount of work, then you're allowed in batches to go and vote. Not all of you in those areas. But there are people who request for passes. the request that I need something like 6 days pass earlier than that.
So do you think at the policy level there is something that needs to be done to ensure that all the people working with our security forces exercise their right to vote? Because what you say is that the exercise of that right is contingent. It depends on the circumstances.
It depends on circumstances. Like if I'm going to be if I'll be an IEB commissioner, for example, and depending on the workload on that particular day, I may not have exercised my right to vote because I am registered in Invita, and maybe I'll be working somewhere, or maybe an area where I'll be in charge.
So do you think, for example, each military barracks should be made a polling station?
It can, yes.
It can. And because people in the military answer to the president as their commander-in-chief, what do you think would happen if a particular barracks returns a negative vote for the CNC? You think there will be ugali?
There will be ugali and there will be everything because you're exercising your political and civic rights to elect. And it's through secret ballot. Nobody is pointing a gun on you to vote.
Okay. With your experience with the Navy, perhaps we can have a conversation on something that is more familiar with you. Sometime in 2016, I was fortunate to take a cruise in the Sea of Japan, and I had a chance to speak to the captain when we had a turbulence. And I asked him, which is the worst situation you ever found yourself in? He said, no, none. My training is to ensure that I don't take my passengers into bad sea situations. And he said, there is no bad weather, there is bad dressing. And in the same manner, there are no bad conditions at sea, there is bad seamanship. Now, in your view, do you think there are circumstances that would justify a bad election on the part of the Commission? Are there circumstances that could happen such that the Commission can say we are justified in conducting a bad election?
I don't think there is any justification in that. Because IEBC has been created from an article in the Constitution, Article 88. Then it has its own IEBC Act, and there also functions under that.
So you think that there would never come a day when we would excuse the Commission for undertaking a bad election? You think that day should never come, and the law does not allow them to undertake a bad election and to say it was not me, it were the circumstances?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? What would happen? I know you're not a lawyer. But what do you think would happen if there is generalized violence during an election? You know, a day before the election and on election day, there is generalized violence that makes it difficult for people to vote.
IEBC has started its preparation in this phase for election. We have history of elections. 2022 is not the first election. We have history of elections before 2017, 2013 there, go back. IEBC is supposed to analyze the trend of these elections.
And prepare in advance.
Yes.
So I'm saying, suppose violence breaks out in a particular constituency and people cannot vote, people cannot get out of their houses, and there is suppression of majority of the voters or a sizable number of the voters. What would IEBC do? Can IEBC say, no, look, you know, our election was bad just because people decided to fight? Does IEBC have any options in law?
But as a military person, there are no wars which are fought because there's a conflict today and tomorrow we go on war. There must be preparation of actions which are there for you to know that there's going to be a war.
So what I'm saying, Colonel, is that you have prepared. You are a commissioner. You've prepared. You have anticipated every contingency. On voting day, you get a report that in a particular constituency, skirmishes are broken out. People cannot vote. There is fighting, and you are a commissioner. What would you do?
Well, we'll collaborate because IEBC does not have any policing or enforcement powers.
They do, actually. They can actually postpone an election if circumstances demand. They don't have to carry out a bad election. But let's assume that, because you know, in every election, at every polling station, there are police officers.
Yes.
Who are sent there. And they are armed. You know that?
Yes.
They don't actually carry, pistols. They carry the long one that requires somebody else to be around you also. So they are visibly armed. Imagine a situation where an officer, in a hotly contested race, when people are on the queue, and an officer just fires in the air, indiscriminately, without any justification, and some of the people run away. And, there is a man who told me, if you hear the gunshot, just know you are not dead. So people run away and they don't vote. And then the outcome is that there is a very small margin. And somebody says, it's the police who caused this. If it is the police who caused disruption in a polling station, it is not IEBC, whom would you blame in those circumstances? I mean, if I was aggrieved, whom do I proceed against?
You can petition the court.
IEBC says it was not me, it was the police.
Yeah, but they are losers and winners. If you're a loser, you can petition the court that we need to redo this.
Okay, just for information, every police officer designated to be at a polling station is immediately constituted an election official. They actually take instructions from IEBC. That's something you may need to note. Okay. Just one last question. In this room, you may be the only person who is acquainted with war. Our constitution says that the term of parliament may be extended and an election postponed accordingly if Kenya is at war. What is war?
War is a conflict, a violent conflict at the highest level, whereby it constitutes various actions. A war inside that war, we say that wars are fought at theater levels. Then there are operations, major operations, engagements, whereby these are at the lower level, engagements, maybe a small band of people fighting with a small band of people.
So because of our time, I'm asking the definition of war with respect to this article of the Constitution that allows postponement, extension of the term of parliament if Kenya is at war. If Kenya is fighting Al-Shabaab, is that war for the purposes of postponement of an election?
You don't go to war with non-state actors. Majority of the time, war is fought with state actors.
War is fought with state actors. So if there is an interior war, for example, two communities are fighting against each other, and the military is sent, the military can be sent even for internal conflicts.
Yes.
Would that constitute war for the purposes of postponement of an election?
No, that is not war.
But if Kenya is warring with Uganda over Migingo, and the fight is concentrated on that side, is that war?
Yeah, that is war.
That is war. That can justify.
Yes.
But is it just the aspect of Kenya being at war, or is it a question of the effects of the war and whether or not this war can affect an election? There are some wars that would not affect the day-to-day lives of the people.
But remember that there's also a war chest, which means the economy will be directed to that war. So IEBC may not have the funding to conduct that election.
Okay, do you know for how long Parliament can extend its term under the Constitution?
6 months, then 1 year.
A maximum of 1 year.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kano, and all the best. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Kimuli. I'll now request Dr. F.S. Abdallah to ask you a few questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colonel retired.
Yes, sir.
I would like to have a conversation rather than having questions. Right. Could you tell this panel when was your ROD?
My ROD was on 2nd of June, 2021.
And for
Just
the,
last month only.
right. For the benefit of this panel and Kenyans at large, what does ROD stands for?
It's the last day of your...
Running out date.
It's a running out. It's the last day for you working.
When do you normally know when is your ROD? In military. Did you know?
Well, it is taken as a day before your birthday. That is what it is, ROD. If I'm born on 3rd of June, then my ROD is on 2nd. If I was born on 1st of January, my ROD was on 31st of December.
Right. So whilst you're serving, do you know when you're a major, when your ROD is, or how much time do you have before you know when your ROD is? What I'm trying to drive to is when you applied, you had not retired.
Yes.
But you knew when your ROD was, right?
Yes.
So when does military officers normally know when their ROD is?
The Kenya Defense Force is a very interesting organization, whereby people retire according to the ranks. You don't retire as a civil servants, where you say that it's 60 years. You have to serve until 60 years. Each rank has got its own retirement age. If that retirement age is about to happen, let's say next year, someone is given a notice, a letter, telling him that your ROD is this particular day, your leaves, which you haven't taken, you'll have 3-month terminal leave and other leaves, which you haven't taken. So it is calculated.
Okay. Now, thank you, Colonel. Now, you have been a naval military officer with 34 years experience, working under the highest discipline order and the military precision. Right. I have also noted in your CV that you are the Chief of Logistics in Juba. You have been directing staff and lecturer at Defense Staff College. You have also been a trainer at DHQ and served in many other positions. In your opinion, what added value can you bring in to IEBC if you are appointed a commissioner of the IEBC? We've heard what you've done, but we've not heard as to how you could use those 34 years of military precision and disciplined working style into IEBC. Remembering that you're coming to the civilian world and it's not as good as a commander you can be, it may not work here. By the way, how do you find a good commander under your NDC trainings? Who is a good commander?
A commander comes from a concept of command. This is a position of authority and responsibility legally bestowed on a person over subordinates. Now, command has got two facets: leadership and management. Let's say, for example, you have a coin, a 10 shilling coin. You don't call it a 10 shilling coin, you call it a command coin. The head side is leadership, the other side is management. So these two, a commander must have these two. Leadership, you need to influence people. a commander must have personality and character. He must have vision. Well, on the other side, when you look at the management part of it, we look at it as a allocation of resources and control of those resources.
Okay. So, Colonel, thank you for that. Tell me, those command tactics or training you've had and the other ones, in your opinion, how will that be useful or value added to IBC if you are nominated or appointed as one of the commissioners at IBC?
If I'll be nominated as a commissioner, people look at me as an outsider because I'm coming from the military. You've heard people say the person has come to militarize, but we don't do that. The training part of it on administration, training on discipline, training on doing work with precision. That's what we do. We don't force people to do that. Example, when we look at, we have an institution at Athi River whereby the same staff is there, but the leadership. So the only thing they have come over there is directing them the way, what the legal framework does, what other things are supposed to do. So when I'll be there, I might look at it in a different way, in a military point of view, that we need to do things in a precision way. We need to have discipline, because majority of organizations, they lack a lot of discipline, and that's how they go down. For example, now, if you know that this is the head of a particular organization, then there is a chain of command from that head of organization downwards, that directions are coming from this particular entity going down. And there are also information flowing from down upward, and there are also information flowing laterally. So what I'm going to bring is the discipline part of it, the way of doing things in a precision way, analytic part of it, etc. Collaboration with other, because you need to have, IBC cannot work alone. It needs to have inter-commission collaboration and coordination. It needs inter-agencies collaboration and coordination. Early enough, not towards the election.
Right. Thank you, Colonel. Of course, the militarization, we've heard it about NMS, we've heard it, the blue economy, that the country's been militarized. That, of course, I'm sure with what the outcome has been appreciated. The question is, yes, the notion is the military guys are hard to deal with, and they've got a set mind. So this is the question. Are you able to adopt? And in the event you have differences with your other commissioners, what do we expect? Do we expect military tactics or compromising an approach?
When you move out from the military, you need to be adaptable. Adaptable to the environment you're in, just like a chameleon. You need to learn other people. You need to, when you say that I'm result-oriented, what about the others? Are they result-oriented? Can they work under pressure? You can work under pressure. Can they work under pressure? So there need to be a dialogue, a kind of an understanding that we are working together. There need to have an esprit de corps, that we are working as a team. We're not working as enemies. That from there.
So from what I hear, you are really psyched to have this change of attitude. Right. Can you tell us the job you're applying for at IEBC, what are the functions of IEBC?
Of the responsibility of IEBC, whereby this is where the IEBC gets its mission. IEBC is responsible for conducting or supervising referenda. That's the most important part.
True.
The second one is continuous registration of voters, regular review of voters' roll. Then you have a delimitation of constituencies and wards. You have regulation of amount of money spent by candidates and political parties during election. Then you have registration of candidates during election. You have to develop code of conduct, facilitating observers, monitors and evaluators. You have monitoring of compliance with the legislation and all that.
Right. You talked about the code of conduct, right, of the staff. The number one of the code of conduct for the staff is impartiality and independence of members, right? I'll read it for you. Every member and employee of the Commission shall impartially and independently perform the function of the Commission in good faith and without fear, favor, or prejudice, and without influence from A, any arm of the government, B, any state officer, C, any public officer, D, any political party, E, candidate participating in election, or any other authority or organization. The question is, being an ex-military officer, will it be possible for you to abide to these regulations? What I mean, the military precision and discipline has always and will always remain there. Do you feel in the event that one of the senior officers asks you for a favor or for something, not, trying to misuse you, right? But a normal thing. What will be your reaction to this?
In the military, we say that we follow lawful orders.
So you follow what?
We follow lawful orders.
Lawful orders, right.
If you follow any order, then you are liable for prosecution or even court-martial. Because we do have a KDF Act or the AFA Act, now it's changed to KDF Act. Now, and there are regulations, that is a legal framework which is there.
Very well. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. And all the best, Colonel. Thank you,
sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abdallah. I'll now request Mr. Gideon Solonka to ask you a few questions, Mr. Said.
Thank you, Chair. Colonel, we have COVID-19 as the elephant in the room now. And against that backdrop, some countries have adopted special voting arrangements, which in fact has led to the enfranchisement of voters. A case in mind is South Korea. In their 2021 elections, they recorded the highest voter turnout in 3 decades. And some of the special arrangements included early voting, mobile voting, additional electoral days, opening of more voting centers, postal voting, and online voting. Now, if you become the IEBC Commissioner and IEBC were to adopt such methodologies, what measures will you put in place to mitigate risks involved? Do you think those special arrangements can work in Kenya?
Those arrangements at the moment, I don't think they are feasible in Kenya at the moment, but they can work. If whatever we have now have problems, we need to sort out this problem now instead of bringing more problems from outside. Because if there was a problem in transmission of results from the polling station to the headquarters, what if now someone is sending through the post office? How will you say that this is the person who voted, not another one? And the laws wants, at the moment, it wants you to produce an ID for you to be identified before you vote, plus the others, the BVR and etc. Now it cannot work, but later it might work when we have sorted what we have at the moment. We don't rush at things because other people are rushing. If you have a vehicle which is mechanical, or maybe with gears, then later on someone wants to bring a car which is automatic. Yes, you can bring that car with automatic gear, but do you have people who can maintain it?
So, Colonel, if I'm getting you right, should the COVID situation get worse, and God forbid, you're saying that we should postpone our elections?
I think IEBC has put some protocols now. I think I saw booklets concerning that. Last week or so, there were elections, one in Juja, Muguga, and other areas, whereby people are following protocols.
What were these protocols? Maybe you'll tell us, and tell us in your assessment if people were following them.
They were not following.
Were they following?
No, they were not following.
So there was a risk of...
this is a protocol over here. The chairperson is there, you are there. 1 meter away, there is Dr. Abdallah. I'm more than 1 meter from Mr. Kimilu. There is hand sanitizer, etc. But with our elections and the way we do things, you know, when people go and queue, and you queue for a long time, you go over there at 6 o'clock, by 9 or 10 o'clock, you're still there. You get tired. You tend to move forward. But that's how it is.
So we cannot conduct safe elections during COVID-19. This is what you're saying?
No, we will conduct. We will conduct.
Okay.
With protocols. We try to follow the protocols.
Okay. Now, let's move to another one. What is the role of a county returning officer in an election? County returning officer.
At the county level, you find there is a governor seat, the senator seat, and the woman member of parliament. That is, all these three have to be elected by people in all polling stations and all wards and all constituencies. So the county election returning officer is the one who's going to say who won to be the governor, the senator, or the woman member of parliament.
By what means?
The polling station sent results from the polling station, centers on what each senator got, or candidates of senator got, or each candidate of governor got, or the woman rep got. So they'll bring all the polling stations' results and tally them, add them. Then they'll know who won, who lost. And there are agents over there who are supposed to follow that.
Okay. Thank you. And who is an agent?
An agent is a person who stands for the candidate or for a party, a particular party. He looks at activities that the activities at that particular polling station or the constituency level or the county level, that things are done as per what has been discussed or what is in the law.
Okay, what about in a referendum? Do we have agents?
Yes, you have agents. Those ones who say no and others who are saying yes must have the agents over there.
Okay. And these agents in a referendum, who appoints them?
I think it's the committee concerned about the referendum on that particular, whether it's a yes or a no.
Thank you. What do you understand by the term public resources?
Sorry?
Public resources.
It's resources which fall under the, government resources or the people's resources. Let's say public resources of Kenya. These are people resources because the money used for that, the money paying that person is from the public. So if it's someone, it's also a public resource. If it's an equipment, it's a public resource.
Like what? Just give examples. Don't be too general. You can give us an example of what a public resource is.
A public resource could be a vehicle, equipments like technology equipments, other transport, helicopters, aircrafts, etc. But a resource does not only, it doesn't, you don't look at resources as only equipments. Time is also a resource. That this a person who has come out from a government office has stolen time, which is supposed to commit that time doing his work at a government office or public office. So a resource could be time, it could be people, it could be equipments.
That one is a new one. It's your new definition.
It's not a new definition. When you analyze, we also analyze time also.
Okay. What about election material?
These are materials used during election. Example,
Like, yes.
ballot boxes,
Yeah.
ballot papers, forms used by the IEBC fellas. Even vehicles can also be election materials.
Okay. What about information technology equipment?
It is.
Okay.
It is in the general of equipments. I'm sorry for looking at equipment. So I'm not looking at the technologies.
Okay. Thank you, Colonel Retired.
Thank you, sir.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solonka. I'll now request Madam Elizabeth Mayo to ask you a few questions.
Thank you, Chair. How are you, Mr. Said?
Thank you, ma'am. How are you doing, sir?
How should I address you?
Yes,
Miss Chapor?
address me as Said.
Said, eh? Okay, thanks. So, Said, I want to refer you to the case study you actually undertook on 30th of June. You are in this room. You remember?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So, on voter education, you rightfully identified that there was inadequate voter education and you gave various proposals, solutions to the challenges, how you feel voter education can be fixed. So one of the challenges with the proposals, you said that the commission to be presented with timelines, then there should be strategies given to the commission, then the budget for the voter education should also be provided, And the Commission should have authorized the strategies before they are implemented, and there should be a surcharge to the contractor if the person contracted to carry out voter education, if it was inadequately done. You gave that as your proposal. So if you are appointed as commissioner, kindly tell this panel how you will implement these proposals. They are your proposals to the challenge which was cited in the case study. So how will you implement them? Because we want practical aspects of what somebody can do to improve on the processes.
The Commission has 5 years. It's a cycle of 5 years. And they know that there's the 3 phases. During the pre-election phase, they have time. The Commission, it's unfortunate that even voter education is only done prior to elections. I don't think there's any place which says that voter education cannot be done after election.
In your response, you said the Commission should be presented with timelines. Who should present the Commission with timelines, and what timelines were you looking at?
Over there is the commissions will have a timeline to do that.
Okay.
A timeline for the voter education. No timeline of voter education during there must education is continuous. It should not start from somewhere and stop at a particular time. It is continuous. So if it's the same process of continuous registration of voters, there should also be continuous voter education.
Okay.
This time, we know that the funding is a problem. So they must have those timelines. Like they say that you should not have that 1 week of informing or educating people, maybe last month only. What about the other years? Because the elections are continuous. There are people who vacate offices because of death or because of courts and all that. So this vote is supposed to be educated. So there must be those timelines the IEBC is supposed to have, not timelines only prior to election. That's what I meant.
Okay, thank you. You also talked of strategies. So in your view, what strategies do you think you can put in place to address this challenge which you identified?
IEBC has got strategies. They have those seminars, workshops, strategies like education starting with secondary schools, etc. These are part of the strategy so that that young man or the young woman who comes from school do understand. Because if that young man or young woman is taught about family, he or she is taught about rights, why can't he or she also be taught about his or her rights on election?
Okay.
And the rights of electing a good leader. Ile tunasema kiongozi bora sio bora kiongozi. So this one has to be taught during that time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Said. You also talked of surcharge. So for surcharge, it means that if the work was not done as per your expectation, I'm right?
Yes.
Yes. What will you put in place to ensure that the strategies which you developed and should be implemented are implemented according to your plan? Such that if you are surcharging this contractor, you are telling the contractor, yes, in Isiolo, you did a shoddy job. So what will you put in place?
Well, first of all, you need to investigate because this is a report from external actors, which was brought in for you to understand. And I said that you need to do your own analysis internally. And in your analysis, there are so many factors which you look into. You look, when you investigate, because when this contractor comes over there, it means he has to sign somewhere what he or she is supposed, or that company is supposed to do. If that company does not do, there must be a clause somewhere there that either he or she repeats, or you're not going to pay everything. If normally you only pay, maybe depending, you're not going to pay the full amount of money to that contractor. So there could be a request that contractor redo it if there is a time for voter education.
Mr. Salim, remember, when you are paying this contractor, you'll be using taxpayers' money. Yeah?
Yes.
And when you are using taxpayers' money, you should only use it when the contractor has done what you contracted them to do. So what I'm asking you, what will you put in place to ensure that the contractor is doing the right thing everywhere in the country?
Monitoring.
Yeah.
I think there's a directorate over there for voter education in the IEBC. I think they do the monitoring part of it, of all these contractors. And if they don't do whatever they're supposed to do, then...
No, I'm asking you, now you as a commissioner, don't say they. Say, this is what I will do as Salim when appointed.
I have to monitor them, that they're doing the correct thing. Though, at a commissioner level, you don't look down over there, you are at policy level. So, but you also monitor the activities down there. It doesn't mean that if you're in policy level, you leave everything to be done by other people. They could do their own things. So you need to monitor.
So you'll have a monitoring and evaluation framework in place, yeah? So let's go to the next question. So the next question is, police officers play an integral role in the election process. You agree with me?
Yes.
Yeah. They keep order at the registration and polling stations and ensure the protection of facilities and materials. However, there have also been concerns of voter intimidation, which is a form of voter suppression. What do you think about this?
Voter suppression by the police officers.
Voter intimidation.
Suppression by the police officers.
Yeah.
If that police officer is in a particular polling station, like Mr. Kimoli says, that is an election official. All these election officials are supposed to be under the presiding officers. Okay. So the presiding officer is not, he is supposed to look at the performance of the people under him and the equipments which he or she has. So if this police officer is intimidating, then he should be told that what you're doing is not the correct thing. Okay. And if he continues with that, the presiding officer will report to the constituency level. Then I think the police officers in charge of that person may be told maybe to change him.
Okay. So let me take you to the just recently concluded Kiamba by-elections. It was reported by the media that there were allegations by a political party that chiefs and other government administration officers were present at polling stations. Should they be present at polling stations? And what do you think about that?
I also heard about that.
You heard about it? Now tell us.
Well, chiefs and other government officials are not supposed to be there. They are not supposed to be there. Who are supposed to be there is only agents and polling officials. So what is he doing over there? If he's not a registered voter, he's not a voter. If he's there, he is there because that he's coming over there to vote. He doesn't have any work over there. The work at the polling station belongs to IEBC, not to the chief. The chief should go and look at other places at maybe outside the polling stations. That is the jurisdiction. That is out of bounds for the chiefs. Just like when you have an embassy, it's out of bounds for people from outside. If the chief comes over there and with his uniform and talks with people, what does he show the government is doing? It's wrong. So I think it should be reported.
Okay.
To his
It
senior.
was reported.
To his senior.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Salim.
Even IEBC can also enforce that. Can
Okay,
even
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just told us when you were answering Mr. Solonka that as state officer, the people can also be state resources.
Yes.
Yeah. So, from what I've just told you, and you also heard from the media, the presence of the assistant chiefs and the chiefs at the polling station, can you take it that state resources were used during the polling?
But it all depends. Was he sent over there by the government, or did he send himself over there?
Yeah, we want you to tell us.
Because the chief is bringing two scenarios. He has come over there as a chief of that particular area, and he sees that his favorite candidate is maybe losing. Now he wants to influence the voters. Otherwise, maybe he saw that maybe the other opposition candidate was gaining from the voters, or he would have been sent. But why should he be sent in a particular place like that, where there is media? Because that is a media is the one which broadcasted it to other people. Even me, I heard about it.
So you are also wondering why they were there, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so let's move to the next one. You have gotten your answer. The Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government is a key stakeholder to the IEBC, especially in terms of looking at security risks. Yeah? How would you ensure that you have a smooth working relationship with this arm of the government to tackle security risks during election?
I talked earlier on inter-commission or coordination and collaboration. Police fall under the Ministry of Interior. But the National Police Service also falls under the National Police Commission, which is an independent commission, just like IEBC. And that's the reason I say there could be inter-commission collaboration. IEBC, the National Police Commission, the NCIC, etc. When I talk about the interagency, is when you are coordinating with the police itself. That's a security agency. So there must be that interagency coordination and collaboration, whether it's NIS, the DCI, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, or the police themselves. So this collaboration and coordination should start early. You should not wait until 8 months to election, because there are things which IEBC has learned, or had learned early on, or had identified early on. Now you need to rectify. So you need to start early for you now not to repeat that mistake again.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Said. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll now request the Vice Chair to ask you some questions.
Thank you, Colonel Said. Colonel, have you, in your long span as an officer, have you had opportunity to lead or manage situations where you had to deal with the public? And if you've had such opportunities, what kind of challenges did you face and how did you tackle them?
The military are also trying to manage public. I said early on, that its primary role is the defense of the state. Then the second role is internal security. So part of the training is you also train from external aggression, you also train on internal. For example now, before elections, these are multi-agency exercises.
Colonel, I'm interested in you as a leader and a manager of situations. Have you ever had an opportunity or a role in managing a process that had to do with the people?
When I was a junior ranks, I managed a crisis like during El Nino. We were helping, it was a crisis. We were helping people in Lamu and other areas because the roads were cut. So you're helping people moving from one area to another area. You're also helping people sending food stuff and all that.
But it was not you leading.
It wasn't me leading.
It was not you leading.
Yeah.
So you've not had such situations where you are leading a process where you have to manage civilian
honestly,
issues?
no.
Thank you. Colonel, you mentioned something. You mentioned that our elections are election times in this country are tense periods. What can we do as a country to make our election periods an enjoyable civilian exercise where people just go to exercise their rights and one doesn't have to fear about this happening or losing their business or being whatever? What do we need to do as a country to make our elections enjoyable, free, fair, and accountable?
The problem we have in Kenya is that we are always in competition mode. We are always on campaigns from one election to another election. So engagements should be with the political class because they are the people who bring these tensions. If you're in that campaign mode throughout, not development mode, then throughout, because many slogans come in, and these slogans may bring tensions up. So engagement with these stakeholders, the political class, is very, very important. So that they need to learn that we need to live as Kenyans, all of us as Kenyans. It's not competition throughout. Businessmen have to do their work. Students have to go to schools or universities, etc.
Thank you for that. Colonel, let's imagine this scenario. We now assume that you are a commissioner. You've successfully gone through the interview and you have been appointed. And we have our general elections. Now I'm taking you to 2022. The poll has just taken place. But all over the country, there are cries of irregularities and all manner of situations. Generally, the polls are marred by irregularities all over. There is, all the same, IEBC has announced a winner. The others feel that this was not right because of the general spread of irregularities. There's chaos all over the country. The commission is divided along partisan lines. Some believe that the announcement, the poll should carry the day, and there should be no repeat poll. Others believe the poll should be cancelled and there should be a repeat poll. And you're on the commission, what would you do?
Commissioners should work in unison, first of all. What the decision making at the commission level should be supported unanimously or with majority. And I believe that partisan politics in the commission should not be there. That I support a particular party should not be there. We know that the whole of the commission, or even the staff of the IEBC, do support candidates and parties. It's there, but they're not allowed to support it. They're supposed to do work under the law. Now, if you find that problems are all over the place and there are question marks on results from various places, let's say, for example, we are saying that votes at the polling stations were irregular. There are forms over there which the presiding officer signs and the agents also sign. If an agent does not sign, he has to put over there where he or she didn't sign. Now, these are the limitations which were put in place such that those kind of scenarios are not supposed to happen. The presiding officer has taken oath plus the people over there. We've heard a lot that this presiding officer plus the polling staff have been bought and all that. So instead of the commissioners fighting, there should be a kind of discussion and investigation on what happened on those polling stations. Not to fight.
You have to make a decision. Are you going to cancel the poll result? Are you going to cancel and call for a repeat poll? Or you let the result carry the day, irrespective of the cries out there?
With the laws, I think the result will be announced. And
isn't that a recipe for chaos?
Yeah, but there are other ways of addressing that during
you know why
petitioning.
I'm leading you on this way is that the reason why we've had what you call post-election violence is because of malpractices and irregularities widespread during the general election, especially the presidential vote. That was the situation in 2017. Now, where the court had to annul the election and then call for a repeat poll. We're in a similar situation in 2022, and you're on the commission. How would we handle that situation?
I think capacitating the election officials and non-interference in their work should be foremost. Because non-interference, whether internally or externally, because interference will be internally. That I'm the commissioner, I'm calling a constituency returning officer, in which case you are committing an election offense. So capacitating independence is there, because all the IEBC personnel are supposed to be independent and impartial in exercising their duties.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair. I'll now request Reverend Father Mutie to ask you a few questions.
Thank you, Chair. Colonel, habari ya leo.
Mzuri, nashukuru.
Katika nafasi uliopata ya kutuelekeza jinsi umefanya kazi na vile unaona ni vema kusaidia ama kuhusika katika mambo ya uchaguzi ukiwa commissioner, ningeliomba kukuuliza maswali machache. Umetuelekeza ama umeeleza kwamba umekuwa na uzoefu zaidi katika mambo ya kijeshi, ambapo umefanya kwa zaidi ya miaka 30, na pia ni juzi tu umestaafu. Katika harakati zako za kufanya kazi, naomba niweze kukuuliza swali hili. Umepata nafasi ya kuhudumu katika jamii huko mashinani, na ni jambo gani ambalo umelifanya?
Kama commissioner ama kama mimi binafsi?
Kama mwanajeshi. Naelewa mambo kuhusu uchaguzi unahusu sana wananchi wazalendo huko mashinani.
Kitu cha kwanza lazima uangalie ni kuwa...
Swali langu ni,
naam,
umewahi kuhudumu huko mashinani? Ni huduma gani ambao ushawahi kufanya huko mashinani?
Nimewahi kusaidia upande wa ulinzi, upande ya mitaa ambao naishi, kwa sababu mimi kama niko na uzoefu wa ulinzi, ina maana kuwa pia mimi ni mwangalifu katika usalama wa ule mtaa, na upenda sana kushirikiana nikiwa kule, kujuana na polisi wa pale mahali, kuchukua nambari za simu zao ili tushirikiane zaidi. Tunabadilishana mawazo upande huo. Upande mwingine ni upande wa elimu, sababu ukiangalia wale ambao wanahusika na elimu, whether ni maskuli ama popote, mimi hupenda sana kutoa mawazo yangu ya utenda kazi wa walimu katika jamii, ili kuinusha standard za nini za elimu za kule kwetu, kwa sababu ziko hapo katikati ama chini, ziko juu zaidi. Sasa mimi upendelea sana kuwa na kusisitisha kuwa elimu ndio msingi bora wa kusaidia jamii.
Umeshawahi pata nafasi ya kujumuika na wamama na vijana katika maisha yao ya kila siku, ama katika vikundi ambao huwa wanaendesha huko, ama wanajumuika katika huko sehemu za mashinani?
Kusema lo kweli bado sijawahi.
Asante. Na utafanya nini ndio uweze kupata huo uzoefu?
Kujiunga na kila mikutano ambayo, kwa sababu wakati wangu mwingi sana unakuta, mfano sasa, wakati mwingi sana nimekuwa jamii yangu, mke wangu na watoto mara nyingi sana wako Mombasa, mimi mara nyingi sana hufanya kazi hapa Nairobi. Hasa ule muda wa mimi kwenda kuona wao ni mchache, ndio sababu nakuta pengine ule wakati wa kujumuika na watu ni mfupi sana, kwa sababu kuna mikutano mingi ambayo hufanywa, pengine mimi niko upande wa Nairobi. Sasa wakati kama huu sasa mimi niko nyumbani, naweza kushirikiana upande mwingi sana na ujuzi, elimu. Naweza kushirikiana upande wa kusaidia kuinusha maisha ya wanajamii.
Asante. Have you ever failed in course of your duty?
I cannot remember that. Reason is majority of time, whatever I do things, we do things in an analytic way.
So what
It could not be that the time or maybe things going haywire. Because when you say that a plan, a military plan, is only tested when it is implemented.
And even in your own life, you've never experienced failure?
Failures are there. There's no human being who doesn't have any failures. Mm-hmm. But you need to recoup, learn from there, or identify the mistakes, then continue.
So what are some of the lessons that you learn through failure?
That it is not the end of everything. Mm-hmm. That you need, like example, I always say that you don't learn from lessons. First of all, you need to identify those lessons you need to learn. Then from there now, when you have identified, then you change your modus operandi, then you have learned. But if you don't change anything, just like the way people come to you, maybe say that I'm repenting, but he comes to you, say that I've come to you for repentance. But later on, from there now you go away and do the same mistake again. Have you learned anything? No.
So according to you, you have to have a plan before you fail?
No. Sometimes you fail without planning. That things go haywire.
So
even plans also fail.
Okay, so if anything goes wrong, and you are a commissioner at IEBC, do you take responsibility?
That's how a commander is supposed to do. Take responsibility that, yes, we did a mistake here.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the actions that you take?
Depending on the enormity of that mistake. Mm-hmm. If it's huge, that people have died or whatever, I don't think you need to be in that office. You need to resign and go home. Because you failed the people who have put you over there.
Mm-hmm. So beside resigning, is there anything else you can do? You don't think you need to revisit or review or analyze the processes?
That's what I'm saying. In any election, after the announcement, now the post-election part of it, you need to revisit all the procedures and the processes which were there, and now identify where you have done well and where there were challenges in that. Now, if there were challenges over there, you need now to see how you are going to revisit those challenges and say that in the next by-election, these challenges are not going to happen. But if they happen, then you have learned nothing.
Thank you, Colonel. All the best. God bless. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Reverend Father. Mr. Said, allow me at this time to ask you a general knowledge question. If you should be appointed a member of the IEBC, you'll be charged with the other members to manage the general election, which will be held next year. On what date will the next general elections be held, as required under the Constitution?
I think it's the second Tuesday of the fifth year from the last general election.
Yes.
For 2022, I think it's on the 9th of August.
Very good. Thank you so much. We've now come to the end of your oral interview. I'll invite you at this time to make any remarks you may have to the panel.
I would like to thank the panelists. I think I came a long way since I applied, and I saw my name amongst the 660 something candidates. Then I was happy that you found in your hearts that I should be one of the candidates who were supposed to be shortlisted. Well, from that time until today, I was telling someone before I came here, say, let me go into a frying pan. So it's an experience and a half, which I've never had in my experience of 34 years. And it's in public. I think many people are looking at me now. I've learned a lot from here. I may not have all the answers, but there's always, I always say that there's improvement. I need to improve on other aspects. I need to learn more so that I improve myself. So I would like to thank you, all of you, for getting me here, shortlisted, and I finished this interview in one piece. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Said. On our part, also as a panel, and on behalf of Kenyans, we also want to express our appreciation to you for having expressed the interest to serve by applying to be a member of IEBC. We can't take it for granted. It's not everyone who applied, so thank you for that, and we wish you well. So I'll request a member of the Secretariat to escort you out. Please ensure that they return to you all your original documents, and we wish you a very good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now take a break until 11:30 for our next interview.
Hey, now that's hitting the right notes. When life gets boring, we bring out our play. You see, playfulness is in our DNA. It's in the way we move and laugh. It's in the way we walk, the way we rock, and how we just don't stop. You feel me? we add color to everything, to every day and every dish. Because the world needs our crazy. We're the different flavors that make life more exciting. We're the ones who add color to every moment. Fanta, color every moment.
Today I'm going to show you how to make NutriPro porridge. Unlike other porridges, you don't need to boil the water first before you put in the flour. So to make 4 cups of NutriPro for my family, we are going to need 4 cups of cold water. Add 1 cup of NutriPro flour. Stir until the mixture is even. Place it on medium heat. Occasionally stir your mixture until you bring it to a boil.
Looks perfect. Time to serve.
Remember, 4 cups of cold water for every 1 cup of NutriPro flour.
It's that simple.
All you need is NutriPro.
A quality product from Tropical Brands.
Own a commercial plot opposite Simba Cement in Nakuru City at only 579,000 shillings. Call us on 0723 032 522. Hyssop Properties, a culture of trust.
Next on Men's Conference.
Penzi yanangana mengi. Kuna sehemu watu huongea, wakaongea vibaya, wakasema yule jamaa bana, mbona mpenzi wake ni mzee hivi? Ama mbona yule mama anatembea na yule mzee? Ama yule kijana, mbona kuna mtoto mdogo? Mapenzi na umri.
Is there really an age gap? Is there? Should there be? Isn't age just a number?
It's more of an attitude thing than it is an age thing. There is no age gap. It's all about the love and the compatibility.
Love is love.
Men's Conference, every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
Over millions of years, animals have adapted and evolved an arsenal of deadly weapons to hunt, defend, and attack. Teeth, claws, antlers, electricity, stings, camouflage, odor, and poisons are all being used to devastating effect in the animal armory. The use of venom and poison to kill enemies or capture prey has been utilized by humans ever since we witnessed animals using it in the wild. Many animals are venomous, but few are as deadly as these. Although their rattles give ample warning to potential predators, the venom of the rattlesnake has proved invaluable in its search for food and protection. The stonefish is a master of disguise, but when threatened, it shoots out deadly spines from its back, ensuring its predator a painful death. More notably, the scorpion has been a symbol of terror for thousands of years, thanks to its whip-like tail that stabs its victim, delivering a lethal dose of venom. Another sea creature with an uncanny ability to camouflage itself is the blue-ringed octopus, whose bite causes paralysis and eventually death. Cane toads have been introduced to countries where they don't naturally occur. Thanks to their toxic skin, almost all potential predators will avoid them, allowing them to dominate vast areas of land. The funnel web spider latches onto its victim, biting multiple times with massive fangs and delivering venom that can kill an adult human in as little as 15 minutes. The Gila monsters possess a venom so powerful that cowboys would tell tales of their fatal bites. And fire ants, despite their size, possess a venom that when deployed from thousands of ants in a single colony, has the potential to kill almost any creature. Images of the most powerful deities worshipped by the Aztecs and Mayans were emblazoned with depictions of the rattlesnake, their vision serpent, who worked as a conduit between this world and the next. And the rattlesnake's connection with death is well deserved. Native to the Americas and ranging from British Columbia to Argentina are 42 known species of rattlesnake. Their size can range anywhere between 1 to 8 feet long. They live in a wide variety of habitats, but are mainly found near open, rocky plains, where they can bask in the sun, take cover from predators, and hunt prey. They favor small animals like birds, lizards, and rodents. Their name comes from their warning call, the loud shaking of the rattle at the end of their tail. Ground squirrels and king snakes, who are immune to their venom, pay no attention to the warning. But these snakes are famous for more than just their tail. Rattlers, as they are commonly known, are the leading cause of snakebite injuries in North America. Despite this, it's rare for a rattlesnake to bite unless provoked. When hunting, they can patiently wait for their prey or actively seek them out in various holes. Rather than using constriction like many other snakes, the rattlesnake will strike in half a second, injecting their prey with venom. Rattlesnakes deliver their venom through fangs connected to ducts, which in turn are connected to glands on the outer edge of the upper jaw near the back of the head. When biting, muscles around the glands contract, squeezing venom into the fangs. When not in use, the fangs are folded away against the palate. They are born with fully functioning fangs and venom, and most rattlesnakes can even control how much venom they inject. The venom destroys tissue and prevents blood from clotting. A bite from the rattlesnake can cause severe paralysis. The older the snake, the more venom it possesses. If bitten, the snake's prey doesn't immediately die and appears to escape. But it doesn't take long for the venom to act. Through scent, the rattlesnake can track its prey until it eventually dies. Using its tongue and prodding with its snout, the rattlesnake locates the head of its prey and consumes the creature whole. The digestive juices of the